In this video, I'm going to review this multifunction tester. This actually came unassembled, and they give you the plastic case with a bunch of screws. So you basically have to install these 4 screws to hold the printed circuit board on, and then these 4 screws here in order to assemble the case. It's a bit challenging, but it's not that hard. And in the end, you have your own little assembled tester. So I'm going to go ahead and test this and compare some of the readings with my little multimeter here as well to see how they compare. And one quick note, you want to put the components in pins 1, 2, and 3 here, either top or bottom, as they are tied together. So let's start off first with some resistors. I got some various resistors across a different range. So I'm going to go ahead and just bend these so that they fit inside. And basically these first 3 pins here, that's where you put your component. And we're going to do a couple of little anomaly testings just to see, but let's go ahead and test this first resistor. It does measure your battery voltage, which is interesting. And this one says it's 8060 ohms, or basically like 8K ohms. So one of the things I always wondered is like, okay, well, what if, does it matter which of these 3 you put this in? So I put it in like pins 1 and 3. Let's try just 1 and 2 and see if that changes the reading at all. Kind of curious about that. 8076, so slightly different, but you know, some variation might be normal. And then let's try pins 2 and 3. We won't do this for all the components. I'm just testing it with this particular resistor. 8095. So, and let's just go back to the original to see if we get a consistent reading. 8059. It was 8062 before, so just a few ohms difference. Here I calculated the average along with a 0.447 difference between the high and the low. So I'd say it's pretty reliable. They're pretty on track. And out of curiosity, let's go ahead and just try seeing what that particular resistor reads on my multimeter. 8120. So a little bit of variation there, but I would say that's fine. It gives you the general idea of what you want. Let's try this next resistor. Like I said, I went for resistors in various ranges, so we'll see how capable this is of these ranges. (824 ohms). All right, and we'll go ahead and we'll just compare this again with our voltmeter and see what it says. 827 ohms. Pretty consistent. Next. I'm going to try to use 1 and 3 to be consistent on the testing as well. Basically that looks like 99.9 ohms or 100 ohms. Let's go test these other resistors as well to see what kind of readings we're going to get. (1017 k ohms), so that's like a mega ohm. That'll be interesting. Let's see what that shows compared with my voltmeter. I'm curious about that. 1004 versus 1017. Interesting. (150 k ohms). 150.3 k ohms. That was pretty consistent. And the last resistor here, 83.85 k ohms. 85.6 k ohms. Interesting. So there's some variation. All right, let's check some other components. It will also test these transistors. I know not all of these actually work, so this will be kind of interesting. So I'm going to go ahead and insert this in 1, 2, and 3, and we'll give it a test. And it thinks it's a resistor, so I have a feeling this is the bad one that I was talking about. Let's try these two. All right, that was fast. That's an NPN, 1, 2, and 3, and you can see pin 1 is the emitter, pin 2 is the base, and pin 3 is the collector, and it has an HFE of 204. So one interesting thing I wanted to try is, what if I just flip this around? What's going to happen, right? How universal is this? There we go. Pretty consistent. Now we see pin 1 is the collector, pin 2 is the base still, which makes sense, it's in the middle, and pin 3 is the emitter. Very good. Let's try this transistor here. Another NPN with a HFE of 124. Very interesting. All right, let's move on to the capacitors. So I have this capacitor here. We'll go ahead and test it out and see what it tells me it thinks it is. $563.5 nanofarads. And I'll have to read that later, but I think that's probably pretty good. And now we're going to test this capacitor, which is 22 microfarads. Let's see what it tells me it thinks it is. $23.79 microfarads. Pretty good. I would say that seems pretty accurate reading on what it is. The next capacitor here is a 1000 microfarad. Let's see what it shows me, what it thinks it is. That's 1041 microfarads. Seems reasonable. And let's do this little last one here. This is it's a 0.22. There we go, 0.22 microfarads, which will then be 261.1 nanofarads. That's pretty equivalent. And then this big one at 2200 microfarads. Let's see what it shows me for that. And that's 2303 microfarads, so pretty good. Actually, this is a little more than what it says. Now let's go ahead and move on to the diodes. So I've got 4 LEDs here. I didn't actually have any diodes I could find, so I thought I'd give it a try with these. So I'm going to go ahead and test each one of these. So I've got a green one here, and you can see it actually flashed a little as it tested it. So it says it's got a UF of 1.98 and a C of 6 PF. And let's try this white one, clear. .76 volts. All right, let's try the blue one. And it also shows you the polarity. I thought that was nice as well. 2.72 for the blue. And 2.00 for the yellow. Now just for fun, let's go ahead and switch that around and see what happens. We should see that polarity switch. And it does. Very good. I think one of the things I really like about this device here is that it just measures whatever, and you can just put it in however you want, the component, and it figures it out. That's one of the appeals of this. This will also measure like triodes and some other components as well, but for my purposes I would mostly use it for capacitors, resistors, and some various diodes. But it's a handy little device. Overall, I really like this. I think for the price point, it's really convenient to have a meter that'll measure all of these different things and not have to worry about polarity and all these other types of things. I've included a link to the unit in the description as well. That's about it. Well, thanks for watching, and please give it a like and subscribe. And take a look at one of my other videos here.